Okay, so just gonna run through what I packed on my first ever kayak camping trip. So I'd call myself a relatively inexperienced camper as it is, and then an even less or even more inexperienced kayaker. This is actually me unpacking most of my stuff as well, so there'll be a few comments of what the hell did I pack that for. So first thing is kayak trolley. So I actually parked my car at my friend's place and marched my kayak about 800 meters down to where I was going to launch it from, and just use a bike lock to lock that to a light pole. Thankfully no one stole my wheels, as that would have really sucked. Right, this is how I set up my kayak. So a spare paddle and bailing sponge, a main paddle and a paddle leash which latches on under there. My life jacket itself is a Cedar Summit, not sure what model it is. It's got a whistle, packed some spare rope which I didn't end up using, mainly because I didn't have any trees at camp to tie to. Well, I did, but they were too far away for the rope I packed. In here I had this PLB hooked on there. This is also my snack pocket, so a couple of sets of chips and then a bunch of these energy gels. No idea what's actually in them. They're pretty gross, but I presume they do something. Knife in case I need it. In this pocket had this thing with my iPhone. Sorry, also this pocket had my cat phone. Good thing about this is it's got old school and got buttons, I can push it without needing a touchscreen. Battery also lasts a few days, which is handy. My gloves, which are nice and wet. This one came with a bladder that I've got in the back there. All right, up front, my deck bag, which had the Cedar Summit trash sack. Not sold on these, I really like the idea, but you lose so much volume once you roll it up that there's very little space for rubbish in it. Probably not too bad to have in the deck bag, because it's obviously watertight-ish, or water resistant, stops water getting in, but for the most part I'd probably choose a big trash bag and tie it up. It'd probably do the same thing. Lashed on so I don't lose it when I'm getting it out. First aid kit with band-aids, Nurofen, Panadol, Vass, spare map, which I think is waterproof. Also had some extra snacks in there as well. My main map of where I was paddling in the Gippsland Lakes in Victoria, Australia. Spare drink bottle. Didn't actually use this while I was paddling, so I think next time I'll put my paddle float in there, and it's just one less thing I've got on my deck. This is actually where I'd been carrying it when I'd just been paddling around, but I wanted some extra water. But with the bladder there and how far I was going, that was heaps. Then bilge pump. This deck pod, who's it made by? Not sure. If you go to kayakaustralia.com.au, they have this exact deck pod. I think it's a Gear Labs one. This is how I filmed for the most part when I was paddling. Any first person shots were using the head harness that I've got on at the moment. So it's this thing, I think it's a knockoff I bought off eBay. That goes around there, straps in, leash on and clip onto deck lines in case these come undone. I haven't yet, but they're not very secure. The GoPro I had in there is the one I'm filming with. What I was wearing, just crappy old runners, Tarmac. They were from, I always forget the name, it's a dodgy Rebel knockoff in Australia. Can't remember what it's called. Just woolen socks. Prefer that combination over the neoprene shoes, just because they're a bit more comfortable out of the water, and wool keeps pretty warm. The water itself was quite warm. Adrenaline thermo shorts, and then these Quicksilvers that I've got on at the moment that are like half board short, half athletic short. Sun protection Australia. This is like a Legionnaire style cap, so I can pull it up to protect my face. It's become my sort of signature paddling. It's a Quicksilver Rashi. I do have an adrenaline one that if I had a do-over I'd probably take, because this was in between being too cool, but then too warm with my palm paddling jacket, which I only wore for about half an hour one morning, and then it got too hot in the sun. But then the Arvo before, when it got a little bit windy, that wasn't quite warm enough. So I know this time, well, this sort of weather, which is low 20 degrees Celsius, probably need to go the fleecy specialist paddling top. All right, then these two bags, which aren't IKEA bags, which every other paddler seems to use because we don't have an IKEA up here. Got these from Kmart. They're the cheapest ones you can get. This is what I use to lug all my stuff from where I landed up to where I was camping, which was only about 50 meters, so it wasn't too bad. Right, so first thing was an electronics case. This kept the spare batteries for my GoPro, my LED lenser light for around camp, and this is my Sol fire starter, which I can't remember the other one I bought from BCF, but that one's heaps better. So if you're contemplating buying the one from BCF, don't, because they're not very good. This one is excellent. It actually ignites every single time. And the other one, I've got your thumb's about there when you ignite it, so you pretty much burn your thumb every single time. It also comes with a rope, and you can use this to start a fire as well, apparently. This would be the cable for it. So I'm going to set these aside because I'm going to take this back home so I can recharge everything. Alright, so I think these are my hiking boots, which where I went to ended up being all sand. So I was either wearing flip-flops, thongs, or bare feet. But if I was going somewhere that did have some hiking, these would be nice for a camp shoe. As it was, I didn't actually use them. They can go in my to-go home pile. I believe this is a towel, which I also didn't end up using. Anytime I went in the water, I just let myself air dry. It was warm enough, I didn't need to worry about drying. It's not like I could have a shower or anything, which you'll hear about later. These were the clothes I packed. So thermals, they are Mountain Design. They're the merino ones. They're a little bit itchy to start with, but then I got used to them. But I might get a couple of poly pairs, as I feel like I'm a bit not sold on how comfortable these are going to be. Just wore these when it got a bit cooler at night, put them under the clothes I was already wearing, which were in there, and then wore these into bed, which ended up being really hot. So if I was doing a do-over, I probably wouldn't actually take these, as I could definitely get away without them. But they are handy to have, and they don't take up much space or weight. All right, these are my Sun Protection Australia pants. These are a bit of a hiking staple for me. It could be 50 degrees, I'm still going to be wearing these. Definitely wore these the whole time I was at camp. They don't get super warm, which is why I chucked the thermals underneath, but they're definitely my favorite pair of pants. This is my bad workwear hoodie. Wore this when it got a little bit cooler at night at camp. I could would have gotten away without this. I could have just worn my paddling jacket or just had my thermals under my shirt, which is here. So this is a Mountain Design shirt. This is my hiking shirt. It was also my going out shirt, but then copped a few bushes and it's lost some threads starting to come out. It doesn't look quite so nice anymore, and it's missing a couple of buttons. But again, could be 50 degrees out. I'm still wearing a long sleeve. It's my hiking socks. I can't remember. Injinji. They're pretty expensive. They're like toe socks and then an outer one. Didn't end up using those. But again, if I was going somewhere where I could hike, they would come in handy. And a pair of undies, which again I didn't end up using. I just wore my paddling shorts as my undies, more or less. Then a pair of trackies, which I also didn't end up using. Need to get some better lightweight stuff. So they're quite bulky. So my fuel canisters. So definitely wasn't going for long enough to justify bringing two, but I just wanted to make myself a cup of tea. So I made myself a cup of tea with one canister and then cooked with the other one. If I was trying to cut weight, I'd definitely just take the one, obviously. And for an overnighter, you can get away with the small one. A survival ocean warrior first aid kit. I haven't had to use this so far, which is always a good thing. This is what I carried my soups and those sorts of things in. So there's a can in there which I didn't end up using, but for the most part I just bought a bunch of similar ones to these, so they don't need water, which is also handy. And they're okay, they're not fantastic. They can go home. Toilet paper, always carry it with me. There was toilet paper there, so that didn't need that, but useful to have nonetheless, depending on where you're going. One water bladder, it's a 6 litre one. Tend to only put about 4 litres in, so they're a bit more malleable and can shape them. It's a bit easier to fit in. That's all my cookware. So, see the Summit Camp Kitchen Tools Kit. The only thing I used was this to cook some of my soup. Next time I cook soup, I just use a spoon, but I'll take that to wash it properly. But definitely something next time I probably won't bother. I've only bought this for when I get my van. That can be my like little kitchen setup, but otherwise it's definitely overkill. And if you're looking to cut down on weight, it's a very easy thing to get rid of. Cedar Summit X-Pot kit. I keep doing this, I keep forgetting to take out a couple of bowls and cups. So it's got the pot, 2 bowls and 2 cups. With just me, I only need 1 bowl, 1 cup. The other thing I have considered, and will probably try and do next time, is I do have just this, which is a kettle. Now if I can find food that's calorie dense enough that will fit in this, then all of a sudden I don't need to bring that whatsoever. And I can just cook and eat straight out of that. That is what I'm hoping to accomplish at some point, but I've got to find the right food, or complement my cooked food with uncooked food, which I'm quite a fussy eater, so it might be a little bit difficult. Towel. This was my backup lighter, just in case that electronic one didn't work, just because I'd never taken it out before, but I'm quite happy with how reliable it is. They're the stabilizer kits for the fuel canisters. Put them there. 1 cutlery set. This is what I normally take to work. Has wild track on the outside, but it's actually all Cedar Summit. That's going to go home with me, so I'll take it to work tomorrow. Again, a bit of a luxury to have that full set, and mainly because when I've gone hiking, I normally just use these. And I reckon if you had a spork with the other end as a fork, then you can get away with even less. But I don't mind carrying a little bit of extra weight if I get to have like a knife and fork. Not that I've ever cooked anything that needs a knife and fork. See some kitchen sink. This is definitely I don't take hiking, and having not used it, I probably won't take kayak camping. So this will probably go on the bottom of my box, never to be seen again. Good in theory, but in practice, you're either in a position where it's one of the first things you cut out to save weight and space, or if you're going big for like car camping, you're probably going to have an actual kitchen layout. It might be an odd occasion where it comes in handy, but I haven't come across it yet. Alright, so my 360-degree Furno stoves, 2 of those. Again, only really needed 1, and would just take 1 on a future trip. And this is the pole to my tent, which is a moon dance. Which in the actual video, or another video, I'll post me assembling it. That's the fly, couldn't be bothered packing it back in, and I'll set it up in here to let it air out, not that it got wet. Expert foam mat, I like these to pop on the outside of my tent in the vestibule to sit on to get my shoes off and that sort of thing. What had happened though is I packed it first into my kayak to slide it all the way up the other end, and then kind of forgot it was in there, so I didn't have just it being wedged up the other end the whole time and didn't actually get it out. I also take this hiking because it's really light and it sticks on the outside of my bag, so that's on the keep list. Okay, this is my tent itself. So in this is the Moondance 2 tent, a footprint and the pegs. And then because I was near somewhere sandy, I had a spare bag of pegs which I didn't end up using. So next time I go out there I can leave them at home. This is the Silmarillion, the J.R.R. Tolkien book, which I didn't actually get around to reading at all because I ended up going on a 2-hour walk along the beach instead, but something I'll definitely take in future. And then the other thing I had was a solar panel, which I used to recharge my GoPro batteries. Turns out I actually had enough battery without needing this, so now if I'm going overnight I won't take this again, but it's kind of bulky as well. But if I was going for a longer trip, a few days, and I wanted more phone charging or whatever, I'd probably keep that, but for overnighters, no. So this will have my toothbrush. Oop, there it is. Little scooper thingy to take a shit, which I didn't need because the toilet's there. So I was going on the same trip again, wouldn't take. Going on a longer trip or a more remote trip would take. And then this is a Survive Outdoor Longer shower, which I didn't intend to use. I bought it when I bought the lighter. So I was mainly seeing, like, was I take it to trial it out rather than I take it because I needed it or intended to shower. Bag seems like it works pretty well, but I don't know if it's just me over tightening it or not. This does leak a fair bit, so I might have to get a clamp so when I'm heating it up, I don't lose all the water inside of it. I really like the concept. Otherwise I might just get a new hose fitting. Not sure how easy they are to come by, but I'll have a look around. Yeah, otherwise, just if I can clamp that off, then that solves that problem. This is my snack bag. So I had the supplies for my return trip, which is a couple of bags of chips, bag of lollies, and more of those energy gels. Also had my tea and my tea leaves and my, I can't remember what they're called, tea leaf filter. So I'm kind of old school, have tea leaves, and then pour boiling water. We'll fill this up and pouring water over it, and you have yourself a cup of tea. Seems to have leaked a little bit. Ooh. Got loose leaves. Second water bladder. It's had one in the front hatch, one in the rear hatch. Doing this trip again, we'd probably just take the one. There's only needed one, but I don't know, you can never have too much water, especially because there was no fresh water where I went. And then finally, it's all my sleeping kit. So this is a Silt Airstream sack. So you pop that into your inflatable mattress, fill it up with air, blow it up. Works a little bit quicker than the one that came with the Cedar Summit, but because it's a dry bag, it's also handy to have. So that's a pillow. I went fancy and got the down. The XT insulated inflatable mattress. So this is the sort of regular length, I think 183, but a little bit wider at 64 centimeters, I guess. On its own, it's all right, but then, 'cause I got two for when I go camping with friends, it did limit the two-man tents I could buy, because a lot of them are narrower than 128, because they taper down, but the Moon Dance is square and it's like 132 or something like that, so they both fit in just. Emergency bivy, I'll take that anywhere. It gets packed in my day packs on day hikes, just in case. Silk liner for inside my sleeping bag. Been experimenting with those just to see what they're like. I've got a thicker one that my friend took to Feathertop the other week and said it was absolutely roasting, which is a good sign. So must add a bit of temperature to it. This is my Denali sleeping bag that I've had since 2010. I reckon that -5 degrees comfort rating these days is more like 10 to 15. I'm actually looking at a company called Zen Bivy makes sleep systems. I'm looking at roll over from a sleeping bag to a bivy, as I find these quite constrictive, and I reckon I may have torn my sleeping bag liner wriggling around at night. But I'll take it out and have a proper look at it when I get home. So that was everything. So there's probably only a half dozen items that I definitely wouldn't take, and then some that can or cannot take. Longer trip, obviously cull down more to fit more water and more food, but for overnight I could afford to be a bit extravagant and pack things I didn't really need. But yes, good learning experience. Not too different from hike camping, except that you lose a little bit more space with the air and the dry bags. And then I had to obviously pack more clothes, because you got your paddling clothes and then the clothes that you change into. But other than that, the fundamentals are the same, as long as you got somewhere to sleep, so a tent or some sort of shelter, something to sleep on, and that may be the ground in some cases, and something to keep you warm, something to drink and something to eat. And if the eating requires cooking, that you've got something to cook with, and anything more than that is really just surplus. So I will revisit this at some stage, give you an updated list, and if you have any tips or opinions or any questions about any of the gear, please let me know in the comments.